What is up, Coach Wizards? Welcome to yet another episode. I'm here with my co-host, Christopher. What's happening, Mr. AppSumo?
Hey, I got the App Sumo hat on and I am all ready to talk about apps and all that great stuff that we always dive into every time we're in a show because we just love this stuff.
Yeah, Chris had $2,000 worth of software in his cart, so they sent him a free hat.
I don't know if that's true. What everyone doesn't know is that before Amit and I start recording, almost every time we sit and talk for 30 minutes about the latest apps or deals or business ventures that we have engaged in, and it's always a good time.
And Chris, what was it we were chatting about? About my sad story of how I lost money, right?
Amit lost some money going in for a deal. He thought he was going to be able to do a good flip on a website and lost a little bit of money, but it was a good learning experience, right?
Yep. So for our listeners, I tried to buy a website for $7,000. I signed an NDA, so the name of the website shall remain secret.
Uh,
But after I sent the money to Flippa, who was the mediatory through which I was buying, I signed a contract. I was so excited, and then I had a guy do due diligence on it, and he said, "Don't buy it." And I had already signed the contract. I sent the money to Flippa. The good news is no assets were transferred to me, like the domain name, the hosting. So
yes.
I was able to back out, but the guy wouldn't let me back out. So him and I had to strike a deal of like $500 for backing out.
Yeah, that's an expensive lesson.
It is an expensive
Do
lesson.
you know how
So,
many courses you could have bought for that $500? How,
oh,
how,
don't even
how,
get me
how many
started.
courses on Udemy could you have bought? Or what
All of them.
master class?
All of them.
Yeah.
But someone had emailed me. I follow this guy, Miles Beckler, about a course, and it was really tempting to buy, but it's like $550 a month for 12
Oh,
months. I was
wow.
like, yeah, that's a little pricey, but it's all about guys, not just guys and girls, people who have made the jump and in 12 to 18 months exited from knowing nothing about websites, exited to a seven figure website where they
Yeah.
sold it for seven figures. So seven figures is $1 million, Chris. I mean, that's
So
crazy.
it's interesting. So we're talking about websites in general, but for those who came on today to hear about courses, can you purchase a course website where someone has online training and essentially make it your own instead of creating your own?
I mean, you could. The thing with courses is it's always people's faces, right? So
Yes,
I think that's the hard
personalities,
part.
right?
Exactly. So that's the hard
Yeah.
part. You can't, you can still collaborate with people and slowly maybe if someone wants to just get rid because they can't do the upkeep anymore, because we know it's a lot to keep your course up to date,
Yeah.
you could do that, but you would have to slowly transition into your face being the face of the business.
You'd probably be smarter to purchase a Facebook group or something like that where the people are there for a certain topic and then you can just take over the topic, right?
Yes. And I think that should be our maybe the next one. I still have to do this research myself, but I got a really very well written email today from this guy I follow. His name is Mushfik, the website Flip guy. And he sent this to his newsletter saying how to identify blogs that have kind of just been, people have given up on them and how
Yeah.
to then buy them. Because we all get so excited about creating blogs and then we just give up.
There's a lot of blogs out there that people have given up on. I think we've all given up on at least one blog in our life because they're one of those things that everyone feels like, oh, I've got something to share, and it'd be so fun to write, and we love reading blogs, but it is difficult to upkeep a blog because it's work, it's hard work, and it's very hard consistent work.
Yep.
And I guess those who actually make it through that minefield are few and far
Far,
few
yeah,
and far between.
absolutely. Yeah, because
Yeah,
what happens when you publish a blog? Crickets.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
people lose motivation. They're like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm not doing this.
You gotta
Anyways,
stick with it.
that's not what we are here to talk
Just
about.
like with podcasts, right? This is our 160th episode on it. We have stuck with it. You know, the average most people only record 7 podcasts.
Okay.
That's the breaking point. The average breaking point is 7 podcasts. So we have left that in the dust.
We should have a goal number, Chris, that once we reach 1,000, we'll quit. if
Once
if
once we reach a thousand, yes, we will quit. That would be well, if we do 50 a year, that will be, what, about
20 years,
yeah, something like that.
yeah,
20
because
years.
10 years would be 500. So yeah, 20
Yeah, so
years.
20 years. Well, we've already got 3 years under our belt according to this with 60 episodes. So 17 more years
17
to
more to
go.
go. All right. Well, what are we talking about today, Chris?
Today we're talking about webinars because if you teach online, you may have realized that a great way to teach is through a webinar. It's a great lead magnet. It's a great way to actually hold an entire course if you want. And so the thing is, there's a lot of different webinar platforms. There's a lot of competition in this area. And so we thought we'd go through a list of some of our favorites that we've some heard about, some absolutely use all the time, and just to kind of share our thoughts and experiences with each one of these. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, it is going to bring up a video of each of these webinar platforms so that we can kind of see what they are. And we'll talk about what the price points are for those of you who are listening, and we'll describe what we're seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So,
All right, let's do it. What is
so
the
if you
first one?
mentioned first one is Demeo, and as you mentioned, Chris, every course creator, when you have to share something, right, with the world, with your audience, best way doing live webinars, and I would recommend, highly recommend, do not jump to automated webinars as your first time.
That's
Get a
right.
few lives under your belt. Once you have enough live webinars, you know how the interaction works, what are the most asked questions, then you can package that into an automated evergreen webinar. So with
Yes,
that
just
being
just
said,
just to explain that a little bit,
yep,
a regular webinar might be like a Zoom meeting, right? You get on there, other people can join in with you. An automated one is one that you pre-record and it can automatically go out on a regular basis. People may not even realize it's pre-recorded. They might think it's live, but it's not. It's automated. So that's what we're saying is don't do that right away because you really want to experience the how it works live so that you know what it should be like when you do automate it.
yep. So
All right. So
Demeo
tell us
was
about,
like Demeo, however you want to call it, right? This was one of the first ones that I tried and I found it to be really powerful. I just didn't have the use case of keeping doing the webinars every single week or every single month. And I was just paying for it. So I decided to stop paying for it, but it's very, very, very powerful. The plan started $49 a month. If you go with the monthly plan, annual, you save some money, but you have to, of course, pay upfront for the entire year. And
yeah.
for those who are watching this, you can toggle between 150 attendees, 500 attendees, 1,000 attendees. The cheapest plan they have is 50 attendees, which is at 49 bucks a month. And you get one host in that, you get the standard features, but you don't get some of the advanced stuff, which is the automated events. You don't get that. Your session limit is only 3 hours. So those are some things to keep in mind. The trade-offs of going with the less expensive plan versus upgrading to the more expensive.
Very interesting.
So that's the first one I have on the list. The next one I have is called Webinar Jam. Webinar
Oh,
Jam
this one I see ads for all the time.
all the time, right? This is like industry standard. Everyone uses it. And it is pretty robust at what it does, but it is also pricey. I would say it's less pricier than Demeo, however you call it. This
Yeah, this
one,
probably is Demio, right?
yeah.
Like the demo. I don't know.
And this one is billed annually. So you're locked in for the year and it starts at 100 attendees for the lowest plan, which is 40 bucks a month. So you'll be paying about 1,200 for the year. And then
Then what's it? Is there anything that makes like this unique versus Demio? Like what would you say sets this one apart?
I think this one has a lot of bells and whistles and some
Hmm.
we might not even need, like the AdWords filter, unlimited team members, A/B split testing, registration notifications. Some of these are nice to haves, but not necessarily things you need. And that's one thing our course creators should keep in mind is what do I absolutely need from a webinar? And that actually one of the bonus ones that we're going to give out is your absolute need, how to run a webinar for free. So stick to the end where we'll tell you about that.
So this is interesting because their basic plan, which is $79 a month, that allows you to have two hosts where otherwise you could only have one. And it also allows you to have those automated webinars that we talked about. So this could be a good platform to start off on the $39 a month on the starter. And then if you decide you want to go automated because you have success, you'll increase your price by doubling it almost. And but then you can have the automation and all that good stuff.
Yep. And then one thing here, I think Demeo has this too, is live offer display. Let me go back and see if Demeo has it. Could be
Maybe
under
it
their
doesn't list a
standard.
whole lot of features, does it?
It doesn't. It could be under their standard features, but they don't.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a page here somewhere which shows all the features. But what this does is the live offer displays. You're going through a webinar, you introduce yourself, you've gone through the whole teaching part. Now you're transitioning into the selling part, and you say, hey, for the next 20 minutes, if you buy this, you are going to get all these amazing bonuses. That's
Yes.
when you click a button and an offer pops up on the screen. So they just have to click it, and that call to action takes them to the offer page.
That's really cool. That sets this apart, and that is something that will get people to purchase on impulse. So that's worth looking at. That's Webinar Jam.
Webinar Gem. Yep.
Next is EverWebinar.
Yes. And I don't know why this brought me to the Kartra page, but I think they must be hosted on Kartra or something. But Ever Webinar, amazing. I have seen people use this, and it is amazing. It works every time without a glitch. And this one is essentially for your automated webinars. It's a little
Okay.
pricey, $500 for the year. And the whole premise is that you're going to be running automated webinars. It does have hybrid webinars, just in time webinars, which is just like a live webinar. So it has a lot of functionality. Analytics are in there, unlimited team members. You have built in urgency and scarcity. So you can have timers. You have clickable offers and call to action similar to Webinar Jam. So all of that is built in. It just depends on what platform do you want to use. And they all run pretty much in browser. So your webinar attendees don't have to download a software.
Yeah. Now you said this is pricey. That's actually less than Webinar Jam was, so that's not bad. The downside is you have to pay annually. You cannot pay
Yeah.
monthly here, so you can save a little bit if you're willing to pay annually.
Yep. And then
And
there's
the next
this
one,
live
though, I
chat
think,
simulator too, right? So you can, which I think is up for debate, Chris. Some people say it's good to simulate a live like webinar. I personally think if it's recorded, just say it's recorded. Like, don't trick people because people know it's recorded, right? You
yes.
just
So
showed up
this is
to a screen. It's not going to start in the next 15 minutes. Let's be honest.
Yeah, if you're going to host an automated webinar, they have the ability then to have this like live chat looks like it's live, even though it's really not.
Yep.
And that's it's clever. But yeah, if you want people to think it's live, even though it's not, that would be a way to make it seem even more live. But I think you're right. I would prefer just to let people know it's pre-recorded.
Yep. All right.
All
Next
right, the
one, I
next one
think,
everyone knows.
do they? Yes.
Zoom.
Next one is
Zoom.
Zoom webinars. And
Now,
so
how is a Zoom webinar different from a Zoom meeting?
yeah, so it gives you some of those webinar type functionality, right? So the one that we are looking at right now, I'm looking at the business one, but let's switch it to personal. Zoom events and webinars. You can have up to 500 attendees. That looks like their basic one, unless there is a way to go further below that, but I don't see it on this
I don't
screen
think so.
here.
I think if you're wanting to have that many attendees, you have to do the $79. Otherwise, you could just do a regular Zoom meeting and
Yep.
essentially call it a webinar, right?
Yep. So here you have $80 a month for the license. You have unlimited webinar sessions for up to 30 hours each. I don't know what kind of webinar that would be for 30 hours, but sure.
Overnight webinar, I guess, huh? With
Yep.
a sleepover. Lock in.
And then you can monetize it through paid registration. So that's pretty cool. You can live stream it to third party platforms and then all the other stuff, recording it, post session reporting. So that's the Zoom webinars, and they have Zoom events, which is 99 a month. And that is more like you're selling tickets to a live event. You can do all of that stuff with the Zoom events.
It's kind of interesting. I recently just worked with a client that wanted to have online seminars, but they were only going to have about 12 attendees. So what we did is we used Zoom, but they have an Eventbrite plugin. And so they were able to sell tickets to the Zoom session through Eventbrite. Then the people who bought the tickets through Eventbrite got the Zoom link, and it connected, and it was private just for the people who purchased the Eventbrite tickets. And that was a way to do it with a lot less than $79 a month. In fact, the people who went to it were the paid for it, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it worked out really well too.
Yeah,
It was easy to do because everyone knows how to use Zoom.
yeah, I like that. Okay.
Speaking of
So
everyone knowing how to use Zoom, our favorite tool, of course, is New Zenler, and they use Zoom, don't they? It is part
yeah,
of their platform.
yeah. So let me go to their page. Newsletter includes Zoom webinars. Not only does it include Zoom webinars, you can now charge for webinars separately from charging for a course. Previously, you had to create a course, embed the Zoom webinar inside the course, and charge for the course. Now they have made it so you can charge directly for the webinar. They just introduced one-on-one meetings. So now you can actually create a one-on-one Zoom meeting within your Zenler. So you don't need Calendly, you don't need Zoom. You can just do it all within your Zenler.
Wow, I did not know about that. That's great. In fact, we have our writing moments where we meet with people every Wednesday and we write together. We do that through New Zenler using Zoom in New Zenler, but we do have it where we put the link in the actual course. So you're saying we wouldn't have to do that anymore. They could just go directly to the link.
Yep.
Wow, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think to me this is the best deal here because New Zenler costs 67 a month, which is far less than those other platforms we're looking at, and
Everything.
it includes Zoom webinars, which is what we were just looking at that was 79 a month. So this is actually a cost less and it includes a full course platform too. In fact, not one but three. You get three full course platforms. That's not courses, that's full schools
Full
with
schools,
unlimited courses each.
slow courses, blogging, unlimited students, right? And
Yep.
no transaction fees. So the only transaction fees taken is from Stripe or PayPal. Then you have the Teachables of the world that charge you a 2% bogus fees called back office fees if you want to enable PayPal. And everyone wants to enable PayPal. So even if you're on a paid plan of Teachable, you pay, I think the lowest plan is 29 or 39 a month, yet you pay 5% transaction fee plus the 2% back office fees.
Plus, you don't get things like live webinars in there or any of that stuff if you're using Teachable. That's only with Newsendler that you would get that kind of stuff
Yep.
in the main plan.
Now,
It really is the best deal out there.
yeah, I will say the advantage of having direct Zoom versus this is that if you have the direct Zoom, you get a link and that link never changes. With
Yeah.
newsletter, each time you create a live class or a live webinar, it's a unique link for each unique person. So that's the only drawback, but I think most people can look past that.
Well, no, but you can do recurring webinars with the same link, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
very good.
it's a trade-off, but you get obviously a lot more. The next one I have here, I've seen Facebook ads for this. I haven't personally used it. It's called Webinar Kit. And this one is a lifetime deal. So it is, where is
Oh,
that
we all like
pricing?
lifetime deals.
$97 one-time payment.
What?
And it,
$97 for one time for a webinar?
yeah,
There's something fishy about this, Amit.
I think the only thing I have to say about Webinar Kit is it works, but it is one of those where it's a little more technical because it's so inexpensive.
Yeah, well, I would think so because that's I mean, my goodness, that's the price of pretty much any one of the others for a month, and they're saying for lights you get it for that. I think it would be worth trying out. Go ahead and get a. I'm sure they have a free tier where you can try it out, or 30 days where you can try it, or something. I would recommend trying it out before you jump in. Although for $97, all you have to do is use it for 1 month and you're good.
And there's a coupon here to get an additional $20 off, right? So you put in your email and you get an additional $20 off. So Really?
So
Thanks.
it's $79. No, so how much is it then? That's a
77.
$20, it's $77 for life.
Yep.
I don't know. My 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 bells and whistles are going off on this one. I'm not sure about that. That seems like a little like a free lunch. I'm not sure that's a thing. All right, check it
Now,
out at webinarkit.com. Is that what it is?
yep. And one thing here in the FAQ, it says, do I need to do live webinars? And they say no. With Webinar Kit, you get all the benefits of live webinars without ever needing to go live. So that tells me that it might be an automated webinar software, not live.
Oh, so maybe it's solely automated.
Yes, that's what I'm
All right, well, that
thinking.
makes a little more sense because then all they're doing is they're letting you upload a video and then just run it when you want.
Yep. Run automated evergreen like live just in time and instant watch webinars. So it's not for live webinars, it's a software for live like webinars.
Okay, well now it makes a little more sense.
Yep.
I think that's not a bad thing. If you want to do just automated webinars, maybe check this out. I think I had the URL wrong. What is the URL up there? Is it Get Webinar Kit?
Getwebinarkit.com.
GetWebinarKit.com. All right, so that's worth looking at. Again, if you want to do automated, it certainly is a good lifetime deal. $77. You can't really go wrong if you can use it just once.
Yep.
All right, the
If you
next
get
one is
attendee,
Big Marker. Big Marker is very well known in the lifetime deal community because they've had a couple lifetime deals that have been really big, very popular.
get it. So their webinar plan, now here's interesting part is I'm on their pricing page and you can see that their webinar plan doesn't have a price on it.
It says request a quote.
Request a quote
Again,
for,
my my bells and whistles are going off going, this must be very expensive if they're saying you have to request a quote.
and they have different, like they have webinars. What do they have here? They have webinars, virtual events, hybrid events, in-person events. So they have a ton of products and solutions, but I don't see a way to get to pricing. Now, why I listed this in the first place, to Chris's point, is this was big in the lifetime deal space. I purchased it as a lifetime deal. I think I paid like $600 and I still use it and it's great, but they don't advertise their pricing because they're looks like they're now aiming at a higher clientele, maybe more corporate clientele.
Yeah, corporate clientele, that's what I would say too.
Cool.
All right, so maybe look at that one last. All right, the
Yes.
next one is live webinar. This was also a lifetime deal a while back with AppSumo and it's pretty popular. I got this one. It is a solid webinar platform. I like it because it integrates natively with PaySummit as well as a couple other platforms. And it has a lot of those bells and whistles that we were looking at. Here's the kicker about this. If you pay for an annual plan, it's only $15 a month for live webinar. So out of everything we've looked at, this is probably the lowest on a monthly basis. If you pay just monthly, it's like 18 a month. So definitely a good deal worth trying out. Now I will say I don't find myself using it as much as I thought I would, simply because everyone knows how to use Zoom. And Zoom is also in New Zenler, which is, as you know, a favorite of mine. And so because of that, I find myself drawn to going to using Zoom and using New Zenler instead. But if you don't have either one of those and you just need a webinar platform, this could be a good solution for you. Wouldn't you say, Amit?
Yeah. And what's interesting is the delta between the pro and the business, right? Pro plan is if you want to pay monthly, it's 18 bucks a month. The next step up is business, which is 143 bucks a month. It's like, why is there such a big gap? That's the part I don't understand. But I agree with you, Chris. I had bought that too as a lifetime deal. Hardly used it, so I sold it in one of those reseller groups because
Yeah.
we have Zoom now with New Zenler, so we
Yeah.
don't really need. I might even resell my big marker because I don't really need it since we have Zoom through New Zenler.
Right. So I think the bottom line, if we had a bottom line here, is that we recommend if you're a course creator and you're building a course anyway, your best bet, your best bang for your buck is just using Zoom through New Zenler. You don't even need a Zoom subscription to do it. All you need is New Zenler. It takes care of everything. However, if you don't have anything, still recommend you get New Zenler, but we might want to look at some of these others like live webinar for the price of it, or webinar jam for the solidness of it, or even webinar kit if you just want to do automated. So there's different choices there. But I see you have another one up on the screen. What's that, Amit?
So this is bonus. I said for those who stick to the end, we have a bonus. If you
Yep.
want to run your webinars for absolutely free and have
What?
unlimited
What?
attendees for free, Chris. Have you ever heard of this platform?
I don't think that this can't be true. This is too good to be true. I
It's
no, I
YouTube.
know what this is. This is Webinar Kit 2.0.
It's YouTube. So just run
YouTube.
the YouTube live, share the link with your audience, and off to the races. You don't need a fancy software. You don't need a fancy funnel. Send people to a registration page, create a free registration page, use the free newsletter school. Like you don't even have to upgrade to the pro plan. In the free plan, you get marketing funnels. Create a marketing funnel, send, you don't even have to send them anywhere. On the thank you page, you can embed a YouTube live. Just
Oh, so
embed the
that's
dang thing right there.
so is that a way you could do it and charge for it is by embedding it? Or
Well,
would it still
charge,
be free on YouTube?
yeah, you can still charge for it. You can keep it unlisted on YouTube and just have
Okay.
your live event embedded inside a course. And that way you can use the course checkout, charge for it, and you have it.
That's sneaky. I like it. All right. Well, so I won't necessarily go through all these again, but just as I was saying just a moment ago, it just kind of depends on your needs. Our favorite is New Zenler with Zoom inside. You can use Zoom outside of New Zenler if you want. We've also got Webinar Kit, which is great just for automated webinars. It's super cheap at a $77 lifetime deal. Big Marker, of course, is going to charge you who knows what because they won't tell us. I like live webinar. It's a low monthly
Yep.
cost. And then we had the first few that we started off with, which is Demio, Webinar Jam, and Ever Webinar. Check them all out. Just to jump around each one, look at their pricing plans. But if Amit and I were to give a one thing we recommend, which one we recommend, we got to say, you got to go with New Zenler with Zoom webinars built inside. It's just you can't beat that deal, especially as a course creator.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to all of our listeners and watchers on YouTube. And we still need to know whose office is better. So I have added some bells and whistles behind me for those who see us every week
Yeah.
lives.
Every time I log in, Amit has some kind of news lights or something in the background there. He's been going to town. My
Yeah,
setup has looked the same for a year now.
I have a disco ball coming too.
All right, a disco ball. That's what I want to see.
give our give our listeners some strobe lights or
That's
watchers,
right.
I
That's
should
right.
say. So anyway,
If you
thank
like
you for,
strobe
and
lights, please rate, review, subscribe, and share.
yeah, and
And
until
let
next
us
time,
know whose background you like best.
keep creating. Bye.
Bye.